On my walk yesterday with the dogs, I was thinking and talking about perception and the way the eye works. And I was just sort of speculating about whether the non-conscious processes that make up the act of seeing, vision, somehow are nevertheless available, even though they're non-conscious, are nevertheless available as entailments within the overall knowing is seeing metaphor. So those aspects of the act of seeing that we're not focally aware of nevertheless help to structure our understanding of knowledge acquisition, knowledge organization, that kind of thing. One of the ideas that I was kicking around then was to do with what it feels like for knowledge to first sense the presence of knowledge, if you like, for that knowledge to become more and more available until it sort of acquires the condition of an object. And the metaphorical, I beg your pardon, the concrete experience, the concrete visual experience that I was looking to structure in metaphorical form was the idea of objects kind of looming at the periphery of one's vision and then gradually moving toward the center of our vision so that they become focally available. And that movement from the periphery toward the center of vision could be either because of some sort of movement that we're making, or just simply because we turn our head. As we turn our head, that's broadly speaking what happens, that the images from the periphery of our vision, which as I said yesterday, are only perceived in certain ways. Those images move toward the center of our vision where they become visible to the fovea, and more information, more data I suppose, is gathered from those images. And I was saying that completely embodied process in all its fine-grained detail could potentially be a metaphor for how we understand knowledge gathering of things. The unknown begins as a kind of looming presence, perhaps even a felt, emotionally charged, intuitively resonant looming presence. And then as we move it toward the center of our consciousness, attend to it, educate ourselves with it somehow, then it becomes central in our vision and becomes more object-like. And also, of course, potentially moves away from us when something is in the corner of our vision, corner of our eye, and looms. It can be quite threatening, and here I'm talking in purely perceptual, physical, embodied terms, not metaphorical terms. When something looms at the corner of our vision, it can have that slightly threatening immediacy to it. It's something we should definitely attend to, and the act of attending to it is also a sort of act of distancing. So what was up close and personal and potentially dangerous becomes safely distanced and object-like. Anyway, that was broadly speaking, how I was talking about it yesterday. But I was thinking again about it this morning. Perhaps there's another way of looking at it, which is probably more realistic in many ways, which is that, more realistic? Well, just an alternative. In addition to things looming at the corner of our vision, we also, we are our intentionality moves forward. So the first sight of something isn't always, in fact probably very rarely, at the corner of our vision. It's often in the distance. So what we tend to do is we tend to see vague shapes, tiny little vague shapes, blurring into other little vague shapes, perhaps on the horizon, or perhaps just in the far distance, somewhere towards the vanishing point. And we may not be able to make out the details of those shapes, we can just sort of, actually we'll probably make out more details than we think, but we can just get the sense of something being there, albeit at a safe distance. And again, perhaps our first response to that is emotional or intuitive, given that we don't necessarily have an awful lot of information about it. And then as we approach it through this act of walking, and through the act of metaphorical approach, then it becomes more detailed, it becomes more outlined against its background. It acquires more features. We could start to recognize its color and its shape and its three-dimensionality, its provenance, those kind of things.